So, Dandadan episode 2 came out, and I gotta say, it could not have come soon enough. While it wasn't quite the divine experience I felt in the last episode, it still blows 90% of other anime I've seen lately out of the water, and I want to talk about it. Welcome, friends. I'm Merlin with a Y, a certain famous wizard's less talented but more attractive cousin, and I'm gonna go over my thoughts for Dandadan episode 2. Though this is going to be less of a review and more of a bunch of random things I liked and noticed about the episode. Either way, I've got a lot to talk about. Starting things off, Momo and Okarun's chemistry is still top notch. They have that fun energy where they can make fun of each other, fight, and be weird with each other, yet you still know they're going to be there for each other at the end of the day. They actually feel like friends, the kind you can be your weirdest self with, instead of a bunch of people who constantly talk about being friends, like so many other anime. It kind of reminds me of the effortless moments of friendship between the Jujutsu Kaisen cast. At least before... Though you can still tell that Okarun and Momo barely know each other. Despite their chemistry and how surprisingly comfortable they seem to be around each other, they've only just met, and they still need to bond over more than just that one dramatic moment. This series has some of my favorite friendships in manga, and I can't wait to see them develop all over again. But speaking of development, Okarun is definitely going through a lot of changes, and I absolutely love it. First things first, his hair. I find it funny that when his hair perms up after he's lit on fire, it pretty much stays like that for most of the episode. Instead of having it go back to normal after the scene ends and they move on, his hair stays like that for a while, and I like it. Makes it feel like there are consequences to the wacky hijinks they get into. It's a nice touch considering the small details of how Okarun's hair naturally grows out throughout the course of the series, which is something you almost never see in shonen anime. On one hand, I love those small details that make the characters feel more human. Having their hair change over time, instead of being born with a perfect haircut and then having that their entire lives. On the other hand, Okarun's hair looks way better in the early parts of the series before it grows out. We see a little bit of it towards the end of the episode, but his cut is immaculate. I've definitely shown it to my barber a few times, but I can't pull it off nearly as well as he can, though I do think it looks slightly better in the manga than in the anime. Though Okarun's development is more than just his hair, even if that's probably my favorite part. We can't say anything more about his development without talking about his new powers. And they were a sight to behold. I forgot how weird and uncontrollable they were in the beginning. Obviously, as with any shonen battle series, and yes, this is a shonen battle series, the characters work to get better control of their abilities throughout training and other methods. But right now, Okarun's a mess. Without Momo, even getting changed or going to the bathroom is going to be a pain in the ass. One lapse in control and he goes right back to transforming into the Turbo Granny. I love how normally, when an anime character loses control of their inner demon, they would usually have a badass transformation and destroy everything, but when Okarun does it, he looks weird then tries to suck a dick. Though that final transformation looked painful. It was freaky and definitely felt intense in the anime, but not quite the haunting visage that was the manga's portrayal. But when Okarun figured out how to use the curse to fight the giant alien, that scene was everything. Okarun looks badass in his transformation. The addition of red in what is an otherwise grayscale scene makes him look that much more striking. The way the color palette becomes so muted and stripped away when inside the giant alien's barrier is a cool design choice. Even if it makes things a bit more dull and a bit difficult to see at times, it really shows off that this is the alien's territory now. Yet despite that, Okarun being partially red is a great way of showing spirit powers don't have to play by their rules. Okarun is a threat now. While not the vibrant and all-encompassing red that the Turbo Granny had, Okarun has clearly gained a lot more than he lost. Though I don't think any man would ever make that trade if given the choice. But speaking of interesting animation choices, the giant alien being a 3D model gives it a feeling of distinct otherness from everything else. A nice touch that shows that these aren't beings that humans have ever dealt with before. It was the same with the Serpo's true form. While it's not as freaky as its manga counterpart, I feel like I've been saying that a lot this video, it's still really cool. Speaking of cool, Momo. You are a fucking god. Momo is such a badass character. There's a reason she's probably my favorite female character in all of shonen anime. She is what I hoped Nobara would be, a strong and badass female main character with a distinct and interesting personality that complements the other main character without getting sidelined to make the male characters seem more impressive. She's smart, strong, and has balls of steel. Though that's a poor choice of words considering Okarun's situation. Her solution to taking down the giant alien was so badass that even though I knew what was gonna happen, I was still at the edge of my seat screaming like an orangutan. And the song that played when they finally took down the alien went along with it perfectly. It's called Paranormal Funk and it's by Kensuke Ushio. Every song on the show so far has been a complete banger and fits the show perfectly. This adaptation just keeps getting better. Though the way it showed only a single frame when the alien was burning alive was a bit of a disappointment. I understand though, animation is expensive and sometimes you have to cut corners on some scenes to make the moments you really want to be done well shine. You can't go all in all the time. You've got to have the high moments and the low moments. Like how Demon Slayer has amazing animation during fight scenes, but it also has scenes where the characters are cartoonish bubbles that anyone could draw. It saves on the budget and allows it to be used in better places. But overall, this episode is proof that episode 1 wasn't just a fluke. They are going hard and I can't wait for the next episode. I know this video is more a series of rants than a proper formal review of the episode, but I felt like it was better to get my thoughts out and try something different, instead of just recapping the episode that I'm pretty sure everyone who watches this video will have already seen. Please like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. I'm going to try to give my thoughts on every episode of Dandadan and see if I can get better at these types of videos. And also, I hope you guys like hearing me gush about this series. I'm Merlin with a Y, and thanks for listening to this old man ramble.